Hi, my name is Marcy Thompson. I am a licensed clinical social worker. I myself am in my mid-50s and have experienced menopause. We are going to address the issue of mental health and menopause this evening. More than 70% of women experience cognitive and emotional symptoms with menopause, and I actually think that number is probably a very low estimate. It has only been in the recent years, 10 plus years, that really women have talked about menopause and what they're experiencing. But there are studies being done, and we are talking more openly about it now, all the effects, both physical and mental. We also know that depression doubles during perimenopause and menopause. 45% of women reported menopause having a negative impact on their work, and that means, work, whether it's out-of-home work or if they're a stay-at-home mom and working, just in the home. It has a negative impact on their ability to function. We know that menopause affects us cognitively, and that includes kind of having a foggy-headed feeling, may impact our memory, and certainly can impact our mood. 23% of women that were interviewed for this one particular study said that they felt more isolated during menopause. And I want to say that isolation probably comes from the fact that we as women typically, or have not been typically, talking about menopause and how it is affecting us. So we feel alone in what we're feeling, and therefore that feeling of isolation. And again, I believe we've come a long way with that, but there's a long way to go in our being open and willing to talk about what we're all experiencing. Statistically, more women that have had prior episodes of depression, maybe that was even postpartum depression, or maybe it was depression or depressive symptoms at some point in their life previously, they're more inclined to have, I tell you that not to frighten you, but again, for awareness and education, because if we know that we're more likely to have depression or depressive symptoms or anxiety, which often appears with these symptoms as well, then we can work on it. It can be treated. We can develop healthy coping skills to deal with these symptoms rather than suffer through. Depression is not linked to any one particular stage of menopause, but the symptoms that we experience with menopause very much can mimic some of the symptoms that we would see with someone who is depressed. Disturbed sleep, that's a big one. If we aren't sleeping well, then we aren't functioning at our best physically or mentally. We're also going to experience these changes in our appetite. Maybe we're hungrier. Maybe we crave sweets. Maybe we lose our appetite or our taste. Fatigue. Fatigue is a big one for both depression and menopause. Bodies are changing. Hormones are changing. Also may play a part in if our sleep is not great. But fatigue is very real and often seen in depression as well as in menopause. Another one, agitation. We're going to be less able to maintain our composure, let's say, if we are experiencing any of the things I've already talked about: disturbed sleep, fatigue, changes in appetite. We're going to be more prone to being agitated. But again, the hormones playing a factor there is too. We know with depression as well as menopause, we're going to have poor concentration. Maybe we're even struggling to make simple decisions. We're going to have feelings perhaps of worthlessness. We just don't feel good about ourselves. We don't know what our place in life is. Maybe we experienced a higher level of guilt as we, age and go through these different stages of life. As I read off these symptoms, I wonder how many of you have experienced any of these things or currently are experiencing any of these symptoms and, are questioning perhaps your own mental stability. Know that you are surrounded by women all over that are experiencing the same things. For many women, the first signs and symptoms of menopause are not hot flashes and some of the things that we would typically hear about with menopause, but the first signs and symptoms may be the anxiety, may be the low mood, Maybe we have mood swings, irritability, experiencing just a loss of enjoyment in life with things that we used to love to do. And again, fatigue and sleep issues are often some of the first things that we'll see with menopause. Menopause is usually a time period in our lives when we aren't just experiencing changes in our bodies, but also changes in our lives. Our children are growing up. Maybe they're leaving the home. Maybe they're in college, getting married. Maybe we're making changes in our work lives. Maybe our husband is retiring. Maybe you're retiring. Or maybe you're having to care for grandchildren or your own aging parents. But regardless, life is changing at this age and stage in our life. And as we experience the symptoms of menopause, we can adjust and we can learn to develop ways to cope and make improvements. While menopause lasts and is a change that lasts over a period of time, it isn't going to be the way that you're feeling right now. It's not going to be that way forever. And that's again because you can make changes, we can make changes, and there are things out there that our medical providers can offer to us as well. It might be medication that might be a necessary step, especially if you're experiencing real depressive symptoms or very high anxiety. I would always encourage you to follow up with your primary care physician or a mental health professional that can help guide you in that area. There's no need to suffer and struggle with depression and anxiety. There's so much we can do about that. Something I tell all of the patients that I see, there are 5 key things to helping improve ourselves both physically and mentally. And these are things that are free and easily accessible to us at all times. First one is getting good sleep. If we don't get good sleep, we're not able to function at our optimal level. And when I say sleep, that incorporates a couple different things. We have to have a good sleep routine where we go to bed about the same time every night and we wake up about the same time every morning. That produces good quality sleep. We also need to have good sleep hygiene. Let's have a good routine prior to bed, calming activities. Maybe we dim the lights at home. Maybe there's soothing music. Maybe we cut off all of our electronics. And certainly let's silence those phones and really have a winding down period of time before we try to go rest. If you have difficulty sleeping, again, I would encourage you to seek help from a medical professional or learn some other behaviors and changes that can help promote good quality sleep. If you're waking up in the middle of the night, maybe it's even a hot flash. But if it's anxiety, I would encourage you to write down the thoughts that you're having in the middle of the night and then try to go back to sleep. This helps get some of those things, anxiety-producing thoughts or any other types of thoughts, out of your head and hope that you can get back to sleep easily. The second key to being both mentally and physically fit, if you will, is to get outside, get some sunlight. So important to how we feel, so important to really kind of setting our body clocks. Ideally, it'd be get out in the morning 15 minutes for your first morning sunlight and experience that. Again, maybe in the middle of the day, and ideally, if you could, towards the end of the day, say around sunset. This is not a time where you have to spend outside, tanning in the sun, but it's just needing to experience that sunlight, fresh air, and all the greenery and things that we have outside are absolutely beneficial to our health and well-being. The third key thing, exercise. I don't always use the word exercise. I like to use the word movement because I don't want to scare people, but we need to get moving. If we sit still, our bodies just stay still. It doesn't help produce movement if we don't encourage movement. Get moving. Maybe it's a simple walk, a walk outside. Maybe it's vacuuming the house for you. It doesn't have to be high intensity, but it needs to be something. And I would say aim for really a minimum of 30 minutes. A couple times a week, you need consistency with this in order for you to really feel the benefits of it. Find something that speaks to you. Find something that you'll stick with. And, don't go out and say, I'm going to run a marathon on Saturday. That's not going to work. Take it slow. Take it easy. Find your thing. The fourth key element to being mentally and physically fit is you have to eat a healthy diet. I know this is going to be talked about today, but my take on that is if you fuel your body with crap, you will feel like crap. So if you're eating fast food, high processed food, anything that can be handed to you through a window is not good and healthy food. And the fifth thing to maintain our mental and physical fitness is staying hydrated. Without hydration, we are not going to function at all. Our bodies need that water to function properly, and most every one of us are deficient in that area. These 5 very simple things that are accessible to each and every one of us should be a top priority for you to maintain your mental health as well as your physical health, to find ways to incorporate these in your life. And I hope that through this evening's presentations, you get a lot of great information and are able to